everybody, and welcome to a special playoff preview edition of OTH Sports View. My name is JP Butler. I'm joined by the A-Team, Shawn, Campbell, and Sam Wilson. And today we will be previewing the sectional high school baseball and softball playoffs, and we'll get right into it. We'll start on the baseball side. Shawn, the team that we've been talking about probably the most this year, the Olean High baseball team. This is a team that really spent all year as the #1 team in the Western New York small school poll. They've been ranked pretty high in the state poll all year, number 5 right now. But they'll actually be starting their playoff push, and we know there are high expectations there of getting to that Far West Regional and beyond as the number 3 seed in Class B1. Talk about that and the path that they have going forward to try and accomplish that goal this year.
Well, if you're wondering why they're only the 3 seed in the bracket, it's only league games are taken into consideration for the seeding, and they play in a league with mainly schools that are smaller than them, so that kind of hurts them in that regard. So they're behind City Honors and East Aurora for the sectional playoffs. Could potentially go to East Aurora in the semifinals, have to win a game on the road to get to the finals. So it might make things a little more interesting, but I think if you ask most people who follow this pretty closely, they're still pretty much the favorite. But I mean, sometimes you just never know. I mean, what could happen if you run into a hot pitcher? But I think people are probably pretty confident that they'll be able to at least have a good shot at winning the sectional title.
Right. We know that Olean, I think, and Gowanda were the only 2 Class B teams in that league, and it was
Kent Little Valley.
Up this year, and then it was a lot of C schools, which kind of didn't give them as many points. But still, as we said, probably the favorite. They've played some good teams already, and they've beaten them, so they've shown that they're certainly a capable team. What do you think could maybe be the difference for Olean High as opposed to some other teams when it comes down to that, semifinal championship round?
I think pitching is the big thing. I mean, in the playoffs, you're playing a lot of games in a short amount of time, and they really have, I don't know, 4 guys they'd be confident in throwing a big game
any day. Yeah.
And I mean, Evan Threehouse, who hadn't pitched the whole year, got in his first game on the mound in their regular season finale at Niagara Falls. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe he's a factor in the playoffs. Now, I mean, he was our Big 30 Player of the Year last year for what he really did pitching wise. So maybe he could be something too.
Right. Sam, we'll keep it in Section 6 here. A couple of other teams that have been on our radar certainly all year, and again, it's a lot of the same teams we were talking about at the beginning of the year now, but that makes sense when you talk about how good some of these teams have been all season, and a couple of other teams that have lurked on our radar all year, but maybe aren't as highly seeded in the playoffs here. In Allegheny Limestone, who I think is the 9 seed. Portville's the 10 seed in Class C. Even Franklinville on the D side been pretty good all year, and they're the 4 seed, I believe, there. Allegheny Limestone is a team that they played a really good schedule all year long, and so maybe that's why their record isn't as great, but a team that can maybe surprise, and certainly the other 2.
Yeah, like Shawn said, if they only consider league games and they're playing league games against Olean High and Gowanda, they're not going to win many of those games. So I think that explains for both Allegheny Limestone and Portville being a 9 and a 10 seed. I think both teams are pretty dangerous in the fact that they have good pitching at the top of their rotation. They can, if they get one of those guys against a good team, a higher seed, I think they have a chance. Allegheny Limestone, you're talking about Conroy and McAfee. Right. Portville, Shawn Harris, certainly. And it's just a matter of neither of them hit that consistently against the good teams, certainly in their league. So if they do that, they get a big couple innings against those higher seeds. I think they could surprise some people.
Right, as we said, a team like Allegheny Limestone, they've played the Olean Highs and the Gowandas, and I think we said Silver Creek. Yeah. And I think they were able to play with those teams at times.
Oh, for sure.
And so, you say, okay, well, if they can hang with an Olean High, if they're not going to win those games and maybe not have a great record, they'd still have a chance against some of the teams in their class in the playoffs here.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, they went down to I think maybe the fifth inning with Olean High. It's a close game, and then they kind of broke it out there, and then they just played Springville this week in a non-leaguer. I think that's a team that's played a lot of good teams, a lot of close games. I think that'll serve them well in the playoffs.
And going over to Section 5, two teams that have been right behind Olean probably in our rankings all year is the Bolivar-Richburg in Class C and Wellsville in Class B. Two teams that are generally pretty good on the baseball side of things, and certainly two teams that we think will probably be threatening for a sectional title, maybe being in that game again this year.
Bolivar-Richburg, I mean, they're the number 3 seed in Class C2, 15-2, which only gets them a 3 seed. It sounds like the bracket's pretty good.
Right.
They got the defending champ Geneseo, who's the number 1 in there. Bolivar-Richburg actually lost to them in the finals last year, so that could be difficult for them. Maybe meeting up with them again down the road. Wellsville, number 2 in B2. But the really interesting thing there is in their quarterfinal, they have to play Wayland Cohocton, which is one of the teams that handed Wellsville one of its 5 losses.
Right.
And then in the other game when they met, Wellsville needed to go to extra innings to beat them too. So,
right.
I mean, that's probably no walk in the park in the quarterfinals for them either. So.
Sure. And probably that game may have been a preview of what we may see down the road here. Switching over to softball, again, the team that was probably on top all year long, Olean High. This is a team who, again, was very good this year, and now it comes playoff time. They haven't won a sectional title, I believe, since 2010, and they've had some trips to the final or the semifinals where they get tripped up at some point. Now here they are again. They're in the 4-5 game, which we think will maybe be tough for them, and then they're going to have to play a higher seeded team. What do we see with the Olean High softball team? Is this group that can maybe get past that hurdle, so to speak?
I think they're certainly capable of it. It seems like every year there's always a lot of good teams in Class B for softball. And in the B1 bracket ahead of Olean, there's Alden and Depew. And they were the finalists last year in B1, so they probably have to contend with them. So it could be a difficult task, I would say.
Right. We know they've got a couple of good pitchers this year, have kind of split duties, and Noelle Ansvine and Alyssa Ramarge, and we'll see what it'll probably depend on a lot on what they give to them in the next couple of games here. And going over to another team that's been right there. I actually saw these teams play head-to-head against each other. Is Franklinville, and we know there that it begins and ends with Allie Haskell.
Oh, for sure.
If the Panthers are going to also finally clear a hurdle here, I think they were the last 2 or 3 sectional finals they played but lost.
Yeah, last 2 in Class C.
In Class C. Now they are in Class D, and again, it probably is what Haskell
right.
gives them.
And they're looking for their first sectional title since '91. So, and you're right. It does start with Allie Haskell. She's just been dominant this year. It's scary to think she's only a sophomore. We've had the same conversation in other sports like basketball in the winter. They're the 1 seed. I think they have to be the favorite in that bracket in the Class Ds.
Right. And another team who maybe hasn't had this kind of success in a long time. You mentioned 1991 for Franklinville. Is Portville. I've seen a lot of them this year. They're 16-3 now. That's their best record through regular season since 1992. We know that they've never won a sectional title. This may be, certainly this is going to be a year that presents that opportunity. And we know with Portville they have a capable pitcher in Tori Cassidy, but also they're led by Cammie McCracken, and if she gets hot, they could probably go a ways with that.
Yeah, I think so.
And one other team that we wanted to hit on, because they've been right up there, with Olean High's Wellsville. We don't know a ton about Wellsville, but we do know that they've got a great pitcher in Amy Lorsbaugh, and they're high-seeded team in Class B on that side. Maybe another team that could be playing in a sectional championship game.
Yeah, late in the year they got on a big run with like more than 30 straight scoreless innings. So Amy Lorschbaugh's really carried them pretty well, but they also seem to be scoring a lot in a lot of the games that I've taken and seen in the paper at least. So it seems like a team that could do some damage.
Right. She's another pitcher like Allie, she's been their go-to pitcher for years now. Has a ton of playoff experience. I think that ought to serve them well.
Right. And if you get a pitcher like that throwing her best, and I know both of those teams, Portville and Wellsville, and Franklinville at times too. Franklinville had a game that I took. They had 5 home runs in one game. I don't know if that'll be happening in the playoffs, but they've proven that they have some hitters, in the lineup too. And sometimes with a pitcher like that, all you need, are to string a couple together, a couple runs, and that's probably enough. So the playoffs got started last night, Tuesday night, in full, and they'll be continuing on through the rest of the week here with the first round and quarterfinals. And we'll be back with another edition to see how our local teams are faring. Thanks for watching, everybody. To subscribe to OTH Sports View, click here. If you like what you see, feel free to click like. And if you have any suggestions, comments, feedback on what we're doing and what you're seeing, leave them below.